Hello, everybody out there. Welcome to the Masterclass, How to Talk to an Avoidant Man Without Pushing Him Away. I'm Adam Lane Smith, the attachment specialist, and it is wonderful to have you here. Welcome in here. If you're watching the replay, I'm glad that you're here for that as well, and I'm happy you're here. I'm going to have my laptop open so I can see chat going down here, so I will be reading what you guys are saying. I'm also going to be looking right at the camera so that you can see me. Welcome, welcome. If you are with an avoidant man, would you throw in chat? Let me know with if you are an avoidant man. I know a few of you here are on the channel. Thank you, and I'm glad you're here. This is going to be a non-judgmental stream, but welcome. Let me know that you are avoidant. I am avoidant, or I'm with an avoidant. Let me know. Avoidant men, they often shut down, right? When they're labeled. This is no surprise to anybody. Nobody likes to be labeled, but avoidant men in particular shut down completely. If you've wanted to communicate in a way that encourages them to open up and connect with you instead of getting defensive or getting hurt or getting upset, this is the masterclass for you. Now, a lot of people come in and they try to figure out how to work with their avoidant man. They say things like, I'm afraid that couples therapy is going to make it worse. And I'll be honest with you, quite often that is the case. I was a marriage therapist for many years. I can say avoidant men often do not take well at all to couples therapy, even if it's done well. Other people say, he won't listen to me. He never listens to me. I don't know how to get him to listen to what I'm saying so I can share my love with him or even just share my thoughts with him. I'm going to say this. By the end of this masterclass, you will have a strategy that makes avoidant men feel respected, not criticized. Nobody likes to be criticized, but avoidant men in particular are very sensitive to it. We're going to talk about exactly why. They're not wrongly sensitive. I don't want to say that, but they are aware of it. And it hits them particularly hard, more than most people. So at the beginning here, I do also want to let you know I'm going to have a wonderful guest show up a little bit later in the stream. I'm not going to tell you who it is quite yet. It'll be a wonderful surprise, but stay tuned for that guest. I'm also going to have a Q&A here at the very end where we will answer all of your questions. And for the people who have watched since the very beginning, I'm going to pick 5 special winners and send you signed copies of my book, Exhausted Wives, Bewildered Husbands. I want to make sure you have access to that book. It's one of my best sellers. It is a great resource for anybody who's in a difficult relationship, especially a marriage. If you have felt like your marriage is just more roommates than lovers, and you're more frustrated than anything else, I want to make sure you have that resource. So chat, glad you are here. You're with, I see, with an avoidant man, a lot of with, dating an avoidant man. Gotcha. I hear you loud and clear. A lot of partners of avoidant men in here tonight. I see that. I hear that. Divorced after 30 years with avoidant. I gotcha. I hear you loud and clear. Thank you. Thank you for being honest with me and being open like that. I appreciate you. So here's what I want you to know. Avoidant men do not like being labeled. They do not like being labeled. And I don't just mean like, it's uncomfortable. The psychology behind avoidant attachment, okay? They resist being fixed. They really resist external intrusion by somebody who doesn't necessarily care about them. They resist other people intruding and attacking them, changing them, telling them that they are wrong, telling them that something's wrong with them. They resist other people smothering them, layering unrealistic expectations on them. Listen, they often are avoidant for very good reason. They grew up in environments where people treated them poorly, were arbitrary, hurtful, a variety of issues. All of this is exactly why they became avoidant in the first place. So when you come to them, even in a good, honest, loving, kind way, and you start labeling them and telling them there's something wrong with them, it doesn't go well. This is why words like avoidant or emotionally unavailable trigger a shutdown. To them, being openly emotionally available completely doesn't make sense. Emotional intimacy actually hits in their amygdala, a fear response for closeness. So you're saying, come on, let's just be in danger together. It'll be perfect. Open up, be in danger for no reason, and then I'll use it against you later. This is what they're hearing. They also don't avoid risk through the rest of their life. So hearing you're avoidant, you're avoidant, you're avoidant, well, number one, it sounds like a diagnosis. Number two, it sounds like you're saying something's wrong with them and it's permanently broken. And nowadays, people don't look at a diagnosis and say, oh, it's something to work on. It's this is who you are and you're always wrong. Nobody likes that. But avoidant people in particular who are used to being controlled, and that's why they become avoidant in the first place, they don't want this. Of course they don't. Now, the key mistake is trying to get them to open up by forcing them to through emotional means and focusing on their flaws instead of focusing on their strengths. You've seen some of my prior videos talking about the strengths of avoidant men. And in those comment sections, they are full of avoidant men who say, yes, I understand now. This is me. And these are some of the things that I do. Thank you for calling out my good benefits. And then as the video goes on, they go, maybe that is something I should take a second look at, though. There's an amazing thing that happens when you focus on an avoidant man's skills, strengths, and good character attributes that happen to be tied in, yes, with being an avoidant. And that can happen. We need to make sure that we can work on this together in the best possible way. So, with that in mind, let's keep going. Why does traditional therapy often backfire? Because a lot of times at this point, the woman brings him into more traditional therapy and says, let's focus on working together in therapy and with feelings and emotions. Let's focus on that aspect of it. And that doesn't work. Focusing on the over feelings, the oversharing. Avoidant men often struggle in therapy, especially couples therapy, because it's forced vulnerability. They have a lack of control. Not that they need to control everyone in the room, but they're being told, you're bad, you're bad, you're bad, you're not sharing, share your feelings right now or else. And that really doesn't go well. Also, a lot of therapists quite often have troubles themselves, and that's what got them into being a therapist. And a lot of them haven't resolved those attachment issues. So they see the avoidant man and instantly, what do? Countertransference upon him. That's the word when your therapist puts their emotions on you. Countertransference upon you. You are bad and hurtful. You're probably a hurtful man. You just don't care. We need to make you care. The problem is not that he doesn't care. The problem is that he doesn't have a frame of reference for the emotional sharing you're trying to do and why it's helpful and why it's not as dangerous as he's concerned it could be. So they're going to struggle with therapy. Now, unlike therapy that tries to heal your past, working on your actual attachment, the attachment work is a skill set that sets you up for a future with fulfilling relationships. Working and improving your attachment is just a series of skills you learn. It's additional tools in your toolbox. Avoidant men love having options, extra options, helpful options, okay? Couples therapy can, on the other hand, is just a hammer bludgeoning you in the head over and over saying, open up, or else you're bad, you're bad, you're bad. Quite often, and women usually don't mean to do this, but they go in and they articulate their hurts so perfectly that all of a sudden the entire framework of couples therapy is set up as she is the victim, he's the aggressor, and now everything wraps around that narrative. And a lot of women hate this. A lot of female clients come to me for couples coaching and say, Adam, promise me you won't do that. The last therapist we went to, the last 3 couples therapists we went to did that, and I hate it. I want to work with him. I don't want to hurt him or drive him away. Focusing on the solutions and the skill set, that's the right move. Now, the alternative to that therapy is a coaching style with communication that's very clear and direct. It respects their autonomy. You need to be making sure you're actually working on proper skills. Now, what kind of skills? Well, what are you trying to achieve in your relationship? Being able to identify what you're trying to achieve in the relationship, what your hopes are, what your goals are, what your needs might be. And then we'll talk about that here in a little bit about how to start working on that. But these are important skill sets that a coach can often train you in. It's not that no therapist ever has. Some of you may have had a good therapist, but again, you walk in and it's often framed as a victim and aggressor narrative where he is now on the outs. And even if it's not complete, even if it's smaller and subtler, more subtle than that, the avoidant man walks in expecting that, because that's what he knows couples therapy has been. That's what he has been experienced in the past with his previous partner going to couples therapy, or his friends have gone to couples therapy and had that experience. So he's already guarded and defensive. So you start using a very emotional language inside that room, it is not going to work. It's not going to do very well at all. That's what you need to keep in mind. So I see over in chat, you guys are going really well. Yes, the last therapist clearly sided with the woman really fast. That's exactly what often happens. Very unfortunately, sometimes it's just what the therapist does. They think it's going to work. Sometimes they're not even aware of it themselves. It's something they have to be diligently trained out of. And some of them won't diligently train out of it. Sometimes they're having a bad day or a fight with their husband and they blow up at you in the session. But again, the avoidant man, his brain is designed to see emotional closeness and intimacy, and his amygdala sparks off with fear and says, this is danger. This is not going to work. Then he goes into a room where a perceived authority figure is barking orders at him while you're sitting there crying, looking like he's been hurting you and treating you badly. This is not a good dynamic to try to work on this together. At the same time, most avoidant men don't resist the fact that they're lonely. They're unhappy. They aren't fulfilled. They're stressed. They're willing to accept those things. But again, if you come at him and say, you know how you're always lonely and stressed out and life is awful? Well, I think I can fix you. Also not going to work. Okay? Very, very definitely not going to work. You've got to gently ease into this. So there's a whole process. I want to talk to you now about the secret to talking to an avoidant man. Okay? Let's get into this. Let's just dive right in and start working on this together. The secret to talking to an avoidant man. Step one, start with praise, not criticism. Criticism is not going to help anybody. Criticism is going to hurt. Criticism is going to make him leave. At the very least, criticism is going to make him feel like you don't care about him. Criticism is going to be an attack. When he was a child, he was endlessly criticized, most likely. He had people complain a lot. He had people push unrealistic expectations on him a lot. He had people mistreat him, most likely. He had, at the very least, people overwhelmed him with their needs, their desires, and their demands. When you walk in with criticism, what he hears is, I'm not happy. I'm not happy, and you're going to do something about it. I'm not happy, and there's a problem, and we better fix it fast. I'm not happy and I demand results. This is what he begins to hear. And his limbic system fires off. Now, unfortunately, what happens when the amygdala detects fear, the limbic system goes off, his fight or flight activates, it shuts down his prefrontal cortex. And he's not aware of that yet. That's the judgment center of the brain, the logical processing center of the brain. That actually disconnects and he goes into a fear state, but he won't identify it as a fear state. Avoidant men at this point identify it as a hyper-aware logical state where they are ruthlessly non-sentimental. Now, it's almost a reptilian survival state, which the most of us would call a fear state or a survival state. But again, to them, it's not a fear state because now they're going to take control, not viciously and manipulatively, but they will take control of the situation. They will take control of the conversation. They might shut it down. They might try to manage the narrative. Some of them might back off. They might actually physically shut down. If they're going to use more manipulative tactics, be warned of that. That's a bad sign. But if they do, this is where a lot of manipulation tactics come out because they're perceiving you as a threat. He thinks he's hyper-logical at this moment, but it's a reptilian survival state with a disconnected prefrontal cortex, an activated amygdala, and an aggrieved limbic system that is going off and sparking quite hard at this point. So instead of starting with criticism, praise, and especially this magic word, respect. When you tell a man, I respect you, he actually gets a large, significant boost of testosterone in his system. It's similar to when you tell a woman, I love you, she gets a large release of oxytocin. It's not that men can never get a release of oxytocin for hearing I love you, but hearing I respect you gives a upswell of testosterone in his system. I respect you so much. You work hard, you're diligent, and you handle stress incredibly well. And I admire that about you. Imagine telling your avoidant man this. Imagine walking up to him, putting your arms around his neck, just gently link them there and just look in his eyes and say, I respect you so much. You work so hard. You're diligent and you handle stress incredibly well. I admire that about you. Imagine telling him that. Like you really value him for who he is. Now, why does this work? It reinforces his strengths instead of making him feel broken. And if you've done this a few times, he gets used to you giving him those honest compliments and kindness. Now, step two, frame the connection you want with him as an enhancement to the relationship, not as a weakness. A lot of people come in, a lot of women come into the relationship especially and say, I really want this closeness. I want us to talk. I want us to share. You're never opening up to me. You never tell me. You never talk to me. You never blah, blah, blah. And it's, again, more of a criticism. I respect you for all these things, but you never do these things. You don't, you're not helping me. You're not nurturing me. I don't like it. I don't feel good. You're not saying those words maybe, but this is what he's hearing. So as an example, you might instead follow up with something like this. But sometimes I think we miss opportunities for bonding because you're constantly in that mode. See the difference? In this piece right here, in this reframe, you're not fixing him. It's an optional opportunity. It's an optional bonus, a tool for them to use when they choose. Hey, when you're in that mode, sometimes it feels like we miss some opportunities. And he could say, well, that makes sense. I can understand how being in a stress mode would make you miss opportunities. I miss opportunities at work occasionally. I miss opportunities here. And I certainly don't want to miss these opportunities. It actually creates what's called FOMO, fear of missing out. It creates a little bit of fear of missing out. It creates a little bit of curiosity. Avoidant men usually are very innately curious. They want to understand. They want to understand risks, but they also don't want to miss out. They're always looking for opportunities for growth, potential resources. A lot of them are also growth minded, self-growth minded, and they want to improve and grow. Now, you have to frame it that way so he understands what you're trying to build with him. Sometimes I think that we miss opportunities for bonding, because you're constantly in that mode. Okay. And you don't even have to say constantly, but he is constantly in that mode, right? So it's useful to be honest in that way. That is definitely useful. And then you can follow up. Step 3, and this is crucial, you invite. You invite somebody into the relationship with you. You invite them to join you. You invite them to come in. You say, hey, I would love for you to join this with me. I would love for you to connect with me in this experience. I would love, as your partner, to help you find a second mode where you can be at peace when you choose to be. Are you open to exploring this with me? This works because it gives him full agency. You're not trying to take control. As your partner, you're team working with him. You're working as a team. You're building that connection. You're giving him that agency, but working together with him as a team. This is crucial that you be doing this. And then as you work on that together as a team, I'm keeping an eye on chat down here. Thank you guys. I love it. As you're working together, I want to help you find a second mode. A lot of the men that I coach, they come in and we talk about, they have what they often call a war mode. This is my war mode. I am in battle. I am stressed. I am moving forward. I am conquering. I am taking. And I say, okay, what mode are you in at home? And he goes, well, I only really have the one mode. Are you interested in finding a second mode? Well, what would a second mode look like? Well, a peace mode. Let's call it peace mode. Peace mode has often resonated with my avoidant male clients. So at home, when you're working on this, you can, if they say, well, what's a second mode is built into this language here. What's a second mode? Peace mode. War mode, peace mode. Avoidant men resonate with this language quite a bit. Okay. They resonate with the language of a war mode and a peace mode. So you put all of this together. Okay. You walk up to him. It's a calm evening. Maybe you sit by him, put your arm around him, whatever it might be. And you say, I respect you so much. You work hard. You are diligent, and you handle stress incredibly well. I admire that about you. Sometimes I do think that we miss opportunities for bonding because you are constantly in that mode. I would love, as your partner, to help you find a second mode where you can be at peace when you choose to be. Are you open to exploring this with me? Now, at this point, a lot of avoidant men, they go like this. They stiffen, their spine stiffens. They kind of raise their head. They look at you from one eye. It's a thing that they do when they're stressed out. It's actually limbic system activation. And they look at you like this. And they're actually perceiving potential danger is what they're doing. They're perceiving potential danger and they're listening. And they say, maybe, tell me a little bit more. And you could say, well, in this case, you can talk to him and say, everybody has, this war mode, a stress mode like you do. And again, yours is fantastic. You're providing for us, you're driving forward. Nobody is as good at you as work. Like you are incredible in your field and you're killing it. And I want to give that to you. I really mean that. But most people have a second mode, and it's called your parasympathetic nervous system. That when your sympathetic nervous system, that war mode turns off, you enter your parasympathetic nervous system, and this is where you heal, you rest and digest, your hormones replenish, you sleep better at night, you're able to connect to other people, and there's actually so many bonding hormones and neurotransmitters in this mode that you can only get in this mode. And so when you're always stuck in the other mode, I actually worry quite a bit about you, about your physical body, about your mindset, and maybe about your sleep quality, maybe about your immune system, maybe about just your body and how you bond. I'm not saying something's wrong with you. Again, you're incredible at what you do. But I would love, as your partner, to help you find a more peaceful mode so that you can truly rest. Is that something you'd like? If so, what would that look like to you? One great phrase, an amazing phrase to use with avoidant partners is under what conditions? Under what conditions would you be willing to explore that with me? Let him set some of the time. Let him set some of those conditions and let you know, well, it would have to be this. We'd have to do this. We'd have to try this, not couples therapy. Okay, no, understood. I understand that. What would be a better alternative for you? How would you prefer to learn? Right? Ask more questions. Asking questions and giving him that agency. You don't have to turn full control over to him all the time, but giving him that agency again lets him know you are not a threat. You are not a danger. You are not seizing control. You're not harming anybody. You are calm and connected in that way. And that's exactly what that's supposed to be. So it's not about lying. None of this is about lying. None of this is about manipulating. None of this is about tricking. All of this has to absolutely be true. Don't tell him, for example, I respect you if you don't respect him. Don't say that he works hard if he doesn't. But I will say, ethically avoidant men in particular, they can make some of the best partners in the world, and their survival skills are second to none. So they're often very hard, diligent workers. They're trying to understand the emotional intimacy in the relationship. They're trying to understand those components and that connection piece. They don't know how to do that, and they don't know how to connect fully with you, but they do want to. They just don't know what it would look like. It is as if you have lived your whole life seeing only in shades of black and white, and someone is trying to tell you about colors. They're trying to explain emotions, colors to you, really deep emotional experiences. Now, you understand that black and white exist, so you have a frame of reference for colors, but you've never seen the color red. Emotional intimacy is the color red. You can't describe it to somebody who's never seen it, right? You have to see it to understand it. And then when you do, it clicks. For avoidant men, you need to open up this process gently and get them curious about seeing the color red, or they will shut down and say, I think you're making this up. I really think you're being picky. I really think that you are, you use whatever frame you want there. I really think that you specifically are making a large fuss out of nothing. Right? I don't understand what you're saying. I think you have moving goalposts. If you've heard that one. Chat, have you ever had an avoidant man say moving goalposts? You're moving the goalposts. It's never enough for you. It's never going to be enough for you. Have you ever had that experience before? Let me know in the chat. Let me know. I'm going to read those for a bit, but I'm still reading them. I'm thankful for all you guys for being here. Thank you for sharing this time with me. But let me know if you've ever heard them say, I don't get it. You're moving the goalposts. This is a fuss. There's nothing here. This makes no sense. Yes, chat's blowing up. Yes, absolutely. Yes. I totally hear that. Frame the connection that you want with them, really, is what we're talking about here. This is only the very beginning of this conversation. Let's imagine for a moment he says yes. Yes, I am willing to explore a peace mode with you, but I have no idea what that would look like. What does that mean to you? Be prepared to talk to him about the parasympathetic nervous system. I have a lot of material here on this channel talking about the parasympathetic nervous system, but this is stuff you could also research right there together. Do you know that you have two different nervous system modes? You have your sympathetic and your parasympathetic. Did you know that you are supposed to be able to go back and forth between the two and actually primarily be in your parasympathetic, except for extreme cases where you have to go in your sympathetic? But if you're constantly in your sympathetic, here are five, symptoms of sympathetic nervous system activation: hypervigilance, insomnia, chronic stress, right? Low serotonin levels and low life satisfaction, feeling chronically lonely or irritability, being hyper focused on productivity and having a difficult time forming relationships, your oxytocin receptors being closed so that you can't bond properly through oxytocin, all and being dopamine fixated. All of these are chronic sympathetic nervous system activation signs. Does he have some of these? Again, I don't actually recommend leading with this because this is a lot of like negative, 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 negative. Lead with the positive. Lead with the strengths. What is your sympathetic nervous system designed to do? Fight or flight is designed to keep you hyper vigilant. It's designed to keep you hyper productive. It's designed to keep you always on and always ready. It makes you work hard and harder and hardest. It makes you run faster, jump higher, and do all of those things to the top because you have to. It's a survival state that kicks on. It is not meant to be your optimal, constant default running mode at all times. It should not be, and it must not be because that grinds you down. Now, yes, you can start talking about the benefits of the peace mode. The peace mode is where you begin to replenish, you heal, you thrive, your hormones balance again, your neurotransmitters refill, all your meters and all your fluid levels all refill back to the top to then fuel those big stress pushes again. This is how the biggest, highest performers in the world endlessly perform without burning out, without flaming out, without turning to substances or losing their minds. This is how they do it: is stress mode, peace mode, stress mode, peace mode, back and forth, and work hard, play hard. You've heard that before too. Play hard does not mean dopamine binges. Play hard means deep, intimate connections with people in your parasympathetic nervous system and having shared bonding experiences as humans, as social mammals are supposed to. You can stay chronically activated in your reptilian survival mode, but you are a social mammal and you do need to step into the parasympathetic peace mode, parasympathetic nervous system to replenish. It is absolutely crucial that you be able to do that. So, talking to your partner about that and talking to your avoidant partner in particular, letting them know they have amazing qualities and this is an added option. Usually at this point, they start asking, is this going to take away my ability to perform? Will I lose my edge? No, you will not lose your edge. Actually, you will gain additional edge. All that work that you do and then have to redo because you were stressed and you aren't sure what happened, this is how you rebuild that. This is how you start growing that back in. This is how you improve, and this is how everything starts to get better. It is crucial that you understand how to do this. If you can build this connection like this, you can thrive. And the only way for an avoidant man to truly thrive is for him to open up and engage and connect in this way. It is absolutely crucial that he be able to do this. So it is overwhelmingly important that he be able to do this with you and make this connection with you. If he is not making this connection with you, then things are going to get, well, fairly rocky in his life. But I wouldn't recommend, again, leading with that. I would actually recommend leading with praising his good qualities and being authentic about that. Literally, honestly, praising his excellent qualities so that you can honestly, so you can give him an amazing shot of testosterone, but honestly, so as well, so that you can truly bond with him in the best possible way. It is absolutely crucial that you be able to do that. Um, Now, what I'm going to do is we're going to dive in a little bit more about this avoidant piece. Chat, let me know. You're with avoidant partners. A lot of you are with avoidant partners. So far, this information I've shared so far, I've got a lot more coming, but this information we've shared here so far, what do you think of this? Are you willing to give this a shot with your avoidant partner? Give me a yes or a no and let me know because I'd love to hear what you're doing. Are you willing to give this a shot? Yes or no? And if no, tell me why. Tell me why you're not quite ready to give it a shot. I would love to hear from you about that. Let me know. Are you willing to give it a shot? I hope that you are. I hope you're willing to. This honestly is the only approach I've ever seen work Going in and showing them their problems and their mistakes and how bad they are and how unloving they are and how they're failing you everywhere and how it's just never enough and how you need more and more and more from them because they're just not fulfilling you. All of that, all that that really serves to do is ruin the connection that you're trying to share. Um, it just it just it ruins that relationship that you're trying to grow, to be honest with you. If all you're doing is telling him that he is not doing enough, then that's the messaging he's going to get. And a lot of avoidant men, they don't want to shut down at that point. A lot of them feel they feel judged. They feel attacked. They feel like, oh, one more person telling me I'm not enough. One more person. I thought this was going to be very different, and I thought that we were going to connect, and I thought this was going to be something special between us, but look, now you're attacking me too, just like everybody else has. And that's why they start shutting down. That's why when you approach it as a weakness, when you approach it as a flaw and you tell them they're not good enough, this is why they start to shut down on you, is because they're disappointed. They're hurt. They don't know how to handle that experience. Yes. Okay. People here are willing to to try this. Absolutely. Wonderful. Absolutely. Yes. Um, I got it. I got it. I love it. Okay, so you guys are willing to give it a shot. Thank you. I love when people are willing to take a step. I love when people are ready to take action. I love when people are willing to try something that they haven't done before. It makes me happy as a coach that there are people who are taking those steps, but as a person who used to have attachment issues, it makes me thrilled to see people who are ready to break free from those patterns forever. So thank you for being you. I appreciate that, you guys. That is fantastic. In these relationships, you can't fix every avoidant relationship. I want to be clear on that. People ask me all the time, can I fix every avoidant man? No, it's not about fixing them. It's actually about building a secure relationship together. Once you can build that secure relationship together, that's what can begin to foster more secure attachment for both of you. And then you can properly bond together and then actually begin not fixing each other, but loving each other in a new way, showing each other a new way, helping each other experience a whole new way. That's the crucial next step as building this relationship progresses. You're not here to fix an avoidant man, and I want to make that very abundantly clear. You're not here to fix him. These three-step processes. There's three steps process, right? To share your respect and to share your honest desire for him, and then to reframe that desire for connection, and then to invite into that connection. This is not about fixing him. Nothing I teach you guys here is to fix somebody. It's to invite them into a deeper connection, build a secure connection, and thereby they can fix themselves. They can work on themselves. They can change and improve as they learn and experience over time. It is crucial that you have that experience together. It is crucial that you be able to bond. It is overwhelmingly important. So, along with that, chat, where are you guys at right now with all this? Is this making sense? Drop me a yes. Drop me a yes in the chat. Drop me a no if it's not making sense so far. I'd love to hear from you guys. I hope it is. This is what I usually teach to my couples when they come in, when they have one of them has avoidant attachment style. Usually what I have to do first is convince the anxious person that the avoidant person honestly doesn't understand, and then convince the avoidant person that there actually is something to all of this, and that if they stick with it, they will see the benefits and they'll see the truth. They're both usually skeptical, but as I begin to teach the avoidant man what that intimacy can look like, what the color red is, once I can begin showing him the color red, all of a sudden he starts acting and feeling different, and the anxious person or the other partner, whoever it may be, starts saying, I've never seen this side of you before. This is incredible. Like, why now? And usually the avoidant man says, well, I finally understood. I finally understood what there was, and I was willing to give it a shot because I understood. No one here is going to step off a bridge or a ledge without thinking there's a safety net to catch you, right? You don't go bungee jumping without a bungee cord. The process is make sure you are tied in safe. You don't go parachute jumping without a parachute and be like, I'll probably find a parachute on the way down. No, you make sure it's like triple bound to you, and then you make your jump. There's safety checks. There's so many things to go through. Help the avoidant man do this process. Help the avoidant man bond with you in that way. Now I've got an incredible guest here to invite you to invite into and to show to you. He's a wonderful man in my life. He's somebody that I very much care about as well and that I work with. Lucas, welcome to the live stream. Welcome to the masterclass. Please tell the people at home who you are so they can love you as much as I do.
Hey everyone, nice to meet you. I'm Lucas. I know we have like quite a few people here today, almost 500, right? Um, basically just wanted to start by giving a brief introduction of, myself and what I do. I'm Adam's client success manager, so I'm basically in charge of, you can think of me as helping people get started with their attachment journey. So, I'm on the phone all day with people telling me about their attachment problems. But no, at the end of the day, I'm really lucky because I get to help people make change and really start their attachment journey and get onboarded into coaching or courses or books or whatever resource that is. So, Adam,
I
I
will
had a
say, really, Lucas, let me interrupt really fast on that because that's an important point of what you do. So many people come in confused. They don't know where to start. They are lost and they say, look, I don't really know what I need. Can you help me? And you're right there to be able to step in and say, hey, look, where are you starting? Where are you beginning? What do you usually do to help somebody discover the first steps of their journey?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we have a pretty rigorous process that we run people through. So generally, we'll set up a video call where, I'll ask a few more questions, get a better picture of exactly what people are going through, some of the symptoms that they're, showing, and some of their background red flags when it comes to like what's happened in their past. And once we've come to, an agreement on maybe what their attachment style may be, we can then start to craft a plan for what the next best steps are when it comes to, starting your attachment journey or taking that next step or communicating with an avoidant partner. And that's really where my job comes in. It's helping people take that first step.
I love it. I have loved working with you for all of this time. I love when people come to me and say, they'll say, I almost cried in my call with Lucas because he helped me finally understand my attachment. He really gave me hope that I'm going to be able to make things work with my husband. And here I am. I'm ready to get started. I love those connection moments. So thank you for being what you and being and doing what you do.
Of course. Well, listen, I had a few questions on my end. Do you mind if I get
Always.
started?
I'm always
Perfect.
open to questions.
Yeah, who doesn't love asking Adam questions? But basically, a lot of women that I talk to are anxious and are struggling with an avoidant man who, isn't ready to engage in an attachment journey just yet, or, isn't ready to start learning about it, like attachment in general. Um, so my question for you is like, do you believe there's value in starting this work like on your own, solo? And can it still like create change in your relationship?
Absolutely. I get this question a lot. A woman will say, is there even a point in me improving my attachment if he's not working on it right now? Absolutely. The only way that things could ever change if somebody's resistant is for you to lead by example and make those changes. And this is not about rescuing him. It's not about you doing all the work for his benefit. It's actually going to help you because you're going to be able to build healthier boundaries. I will say this, men don't change for love and feelings and connection and pampering. Men never have, never will. Lucas, you know that you're a man as well. Men change for one thing: pain, consequences, right? Consequences, uh, problems in your life that arise that you must solve. Men solve problems. If you are loving on him, hugging him, cooking him every meal, he is not going to change. He thinks you're rewarding him. But if you start changing and you start asking for things differently and pushing things, as we talked about here in this video, the 3 steps, you start doing this process and inviting him and calling him out, men start to feel that experience. And if he's resistant, fix your attachment so you can use healthier boundaries. That's one of the only things that fixes things at that point. So yeah, absolutely crucial.
Okay. Okay, nice. Another question I had was more, we get tons of, men coming in asking if these principles apply to avoidant women. So is
Mhm.
that the case? Like, can you still use the same techniques with women?
About 99% of everything applies to avoidant women as well. There's a couple little factors that are a little bit different, but the vast majority of it is avoidant attachment style. It's a survival state. It's a sympathetic nervous system activation. It is almost completely the same. You use the same tactics for one for the other.
Okay. Okay, nice. And like, real quick, what's the fastest way that you found to make change? Like, what method can you employ right now, other than these communication techniques? Like, what can you start doing to see the quickest change?
The quickest change for an anxious or an avoidant?
Just for attachment in general. Like, if you're looking to start your journey, or you're looking to, navigate disorganized attachment, or,
Mm-hmm.
just in general, what's the quickest way that you can start to see change?
You know, I will say this. I had to fix my own attachment all alone about 20 years ago, and it was a horrible experience. It was years of trial and effort and trial and failure and pain, and I didn't know what was happening. And I will say this, that when you work with somebody who knows what to do, you can accelerate that process because it's a targeted, exact step by step. Do this, do this, do this, do this. When you have someone guide you through that process, you get the biofeedback principles. Your brain chemistry and your hormones flow differently. You have exact skills that you are never going to learn on your own, just randomly out in the wild. And you can start doing all of those things immediately. It accelerates your process, takes a lot of the pain out of the procedure, and makes everything flow effortlessly. So, getting some help from somebody who's been there and somebody who knows what to do, crucial.
Nice. Okay. Well, I know you probably have a few questions for me, so I'd love to answer anything that you have.
Absolutely. Lucas, who is the favorite client type that comes into you? Who's the favorite person that you know we can dig in and help like that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we've worked with mostly avoidant and anxious women. Um, when it comes to the anxious avoidant dynamic, that's the most common one that we see. But one that we've been seeing a lot more of is, quiet, disorganized women, and actually working with quiet, disorganized women so that they can kind of get out of this like freeze or fawn mode that they generally see.
Mhm.
But I think, across the board, we have worked with the avoidant anxious dynamic quite a bit. So I think
Yeah.
that is like the avatar that we look for when it comes to, making quick change, but across the board.
It's the most,
It's-
this, and it's by far the most common. The avoidant man, the anxious woman, they fit together like this until they don't.
Yeah,
And I love, I will say, as much as it breaks my heart when they're stuck in that mode, I love that they're coming in for help. And I love when the avoidant man is at least even just a little bit ready to start the work. If he's just ready to listen, I know that we can make it work. Just listening and a little bit of willingness is all that we need. I've seen couples go like that. You've seen the transformations too as you walk with them through their journey and support them along the way too. So that's been that. What's your favorite part of working with us in the attachment system? You came in, you were fresh, you were bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and you said, "I believe in this." What is your favorite part working with us so far?
honestly, that's a really good question. I think the biggest piece is actually just the application that I've seen, in my own relationships, not only romantic, but just across the board. I remember I originally found you on like Chris Williamson's podcast, and I was a little skeptical at first. I was like, oh, it's just another one of those thousand gurus that has another opinion. But when I really started to look into it, and I heard you were talking quite a bit more about the neuroscience and how that all played into your relationships, how you can bond more effectively. It's helped me across the board. So not only are we helping other people, but I've been able to help myself, which has been great.
I hear that from a lot of the team members. We've got a couple of them who've got engaged. They're getting ready to get married now from the process. A couple of them avoidant men. If you've seen the podcast, I wish you knew. You know, over there, my co-host Andre was an avoidant man, reformed. Everything's moving smoothly that way. So it's been wonderful working with you, working with the team, working with everybody, and I love that you and I are on that mission together to help a billion people build secure attachment. That was my mission. That's now your mission. That's all of our mission together. And I could not do this without you. So thank you for helping me.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, is that it for today?
That's it for me. Is there anything else you want to share?
I think that's it on my end. But listen, to everyone watching, I would love to speak to each and every one of you. So don't feel free to reach out. Don't hesitate to, apply for coaching, or at least just reach out in the email inbox so that we can start conversations and start, helping 1 billion people become secure. So yeah, reach out, and that's it from my end.
Fantastic. We're going to have a book a call link pinned in a comment after this. We're going to have it in the description. You can also go to adamlanesmith.com and just send in a form, talk to Lucas there, book in, just talk with him and begin your journey. Thank you, Lucas. Take care of yourself. We'll talk soon.
Talk soon.
Everybody, I'm so happy when I get to introduce you guys to people from the team. Alyssa, Jeremy, you've seen Andre on on our podcast together as well. I'm just I love pulling in people who love to help people. When I left on this journey, when I started on this journey to help 1 billion people build secure attachment, I realized very quickly that I would not be able to do this on my own. You guys have all supported this channel and you have helped me so much in spreading this message. You know that we hit 100,000 not that long ago. Can you believe we just hit 120,000 subscribers here on this channel now? I was blown away. And again, thank you so much for that kindness and that help. You are with me on this journey to help 1 billion people. But I want to make sure you're one of those 1 billion people. I don't want anyone to be left behind as we make this journey together. So, how can you maybe make things work long term? Let's say with an avoidant partner. Let's go back to the 3-step process we worked on a little bit earlier. 3-step process. I respect you. I think sometimes we miss connections. I would love to show you a peace mode. Long term, you must be consistent. Okay. It's not about one conversation. A lot of women are looking for one conversation that's going to crack that shell, open everything up, and reveal his heart and finally help him understand. And it's not one conversation. One conversation, he's gonna be a little standoffish, a little nervous. Another conversation, similar, the same thing, the same conversation, and a loving invitation. Not pressure, but inviting and conversating and respect and warmth. It's about repeated, safe interactions. Yes, an avoidant man is probably not going to use the word safe. Point taken there, but an avoidant man understands peace. He understands calm. He understands feeling at rest a little bit, not fully, but he understands it a bit. He wants it. Being consistent. One thing I think about a lot, I've been married for 16 years. And my experience when I'm with my wife, when she's calm, she's settled, we sit down, I hold her hand, we talk about our day, it's a feeling of being home with that person. When you don't have a calm, settled relationship, if he's listening to you, like list your concerns, your complaints, your challenges, and you're not inviting or sharing or bonding in that way, he feels like he's in somebody else's apartment and he's waiting to leave. He can't take his shoes off. He's got to sit upright. He has to be careful of everything and be polite and observe all the rules, and it's exhausting. Think of times you visited a tense household. When you got home, how much relief did you feel? How much did you want to go home? That's avoidant people trying to get off to themselves and be away from other people so they can finally be home alone. You want him to finally feel at home with you so that when he rests with you, he really rests with you. And for that, it's consistency. You're going to have to make sure your own nervous system is settled as well. And again, not for his sake, not like, let me cater to him by never having feelings. I get those comments a lot. I understand. I'm reading them. I hear you. But what we want is he's resting with me and I'm resting as well because I feel at peace. We want you to feel at peace, ladies out there and men out there. We want you to feel at peace. The best thing we can give you is a calm nervous system so that you can then actually invite a loving partner in while also having boundaries against people who are not loving. One important thing, and this is so important, stay patient. Stay patient during this process. And I know that's an inflammatory statement. Let me explain. Avoidant people need time to trust that connection is not going to cost them their independence. But you need to be patient without allowing neglect. Neglect is not acceptable. Okay. Pointless neglect where they simply don't care, indifference, not acceptable. I am never going to say that you have to accept that. But patience as someone is trying to work with you. That's love. Patience comes from love, and love is patient. Love is patient, love is kind. It must be, or it's not love. Let me say it this way. Love is not a feeling. Love is an action. Affection is a feeling. Love is the actions you choose to engage consistently with toward another person. To love them is to be calm in the present so they can be calm. Both of you should be calm, ideally. Consistent, respecting, inviting, praising, not flattering, but legitimately praising. And then opening up opportunities and inviting. And then reward progress. small moments of connection so that they feel natural over time. There's a process called biofeedback. As you ease into proper bonding, and as he feels at rest with you, his sympathetic nervous system comes down, parasympathetic nervous system opens up, oxytocin receptors open up and receive oxytocin, and his system says, whoa, what is that? That is incredible. That is everything I've ever wanted. How did this happen? He gets a blast of oxytocin, a blast of, yes, dopamine, and serotonin. And his brain says, I feel incredible. Have anyone out in chat, let me know, yes or no, has this ever happened to you that an avoidant partner says, I don't know why, but I just sleep so well when I'm with you. You're like a human sleeping pill. Like I sleep, not you're boring. Like I sleep so well. Let me know, chat. Have you ever had that experience? That's one sign that an avoidant person is bonding to you. That's a good sign. You want them to feel that. That's consistency and patience and love and inviting. And that's a great time to have this conversation together with them. Okay. Now, I am going to take a couple of questions out of chat. I do not want to miss this. I encourage you strongly to try this approach and come back and tell me how it goes in a comment. Please, this replay is going to be up. It's going to be there. Come back and let me know. Adam, I tried it. It went so well. Yes, a lot of people, yes. No, the no people are the ones, they are shut off for some reason. Keep that in mind. I was the octopus finding the keys. There you go. I love that. He does sleep better when I'm there. Fantastic. I'm going to take some questions, throw some questions in the chat. What should the avoidants do themselves as well? They need to understand that they are in a trauma state, is what this is, a constant survival state, a lone wolf survival state that happens to also be a trauma state. That is sympathetic nervous system activation. Avoidant people need to stop avoiding and start articulating with you. They need to start trusting you and articulating with you. Now, quite often for them to do that, to build their trust, you need to be calm and regulated because that's their flag. They get stressed and then leave when someone's not calm because that's danger to them. So understanding that they need to stay and have the conversation with you. They need to conversate with you and be open and transparent and communicative. They must be doing that. That is something that the avoidant person must be doing. And they must be willing to explore different emotional connection pieces as well. What happens when a man experiences so much pain it overwhelms him? His vagal system actually shuts down, and you'll experience a shutdown where his system says turn everything off. It might actually turn off the part of the area of his brain responsible for speech as well to prevent damage. There's a whole system shutdown that can happen, and if he experiences that much pain repeatedly, he can often develop an additional trauma component, an additional trauma response, a confirmed trauma response. And that can get worse and worse and worse. This is why some avoidant people get worse through relationships. Is it possible to be so far gone uncurable as an avoidant? Personality disorders are off the chart, and even they oftentimes can change, but only when they hit extreme rock bottom. A person has to want to change, and for them to want to change, they have to be aware that there's a problem and that there's an alternate solution. So gathering that in, as long as they have capacity to understand there's a problem and there's an alternate solution possible. Now, very manipulative avoidant people who don't have a personality disorder, but they continuously fall back into manipulation. Very hard to do any of this with them. And I don't recommend pushing on that. Don't make yourself a doormat to those individuals because they often will hurt you. They are more malicious and more hurtful and more manipulative. Do not throw your relationship life away for them. Make sure that they're an ethical avoidant person who's actually willing to work with them. Okay. Yeah. No avoidant person's uncurable unless they aren't willing to do the work. That's 100% it. Willingness, even the smallest amount of willingness is all we need, you guys. Now, some people are willing at 20 years old and they come to me, and some people are not willing until they're 79 years old. It was the oldest client I ever had, 79 years old, and they begin doing their attachment work. Okay. That is the oldest I've ever seen. So keep that in mind. That's the case, but you can always make changes. These are biological processes. These are not emotional or mental processes. They are biological and neurological, and you can rewire those. We've learned so much about the brain's neuroplasticity. It is so important. Okay. Now, for those of you guys who have been here since the beginning, Share in chat or share in a comment, please, if you would, after your Instagram handle. Let me know your Instagram handle. I'm going to pick 5 winners who share their Instagram handle, and I will contact you on Instagram because there's no DM system here. I have to DM you there, and I will send you a signed copy of Exhausted Wives, Bewildered Husbands, my book on how to address relationships that are not working with an anxious woman and a more avoidant man. I will show you in that book what to do. It's available on Amazon. 5 of you will win a copy. Drop your Instagram handle, your at Instagram handle, say Instagram at whatever. Drop that in the chat. Let me know, please. We will pick 5 winners and get you a signed copy of that book out. I want to make this very clear. There are no labels. There is no pressure. That's not what we're going for. And we're not fixing somebody. You praise legitimately. You frame your connection as a tool, an option, and an opportunity, and you invite them in, and you talk to them about war mode and peace mode. Now, make sure that you visit my website, adamlanesmith.com. You can fill out the form to get help right there. I have the free attachment assessment on there. I also want to say this. If everything we covered today really resonated with you, and if you've been struggling with these issues for a while, I want to personally invite you to take the next step. A few times per year, I open up a handful of private coaching opportunities for those who are ready to go deeper and to fix the root of the problem once and for all. One of those opportunities is our attachment immersion retreat. It's a powerful in-person experience where we work together to completely rewrite your patterns and give you the tools you need for secure love. So I just want to make this very clear. Fixing your attachment is a choice. Not doing something is also a choice. You're making a choice whether you are stepping in and fixing or not. You can make the choice to stay stuck in the same negative, debilitating cycle if you want. But again, let's be clear, this is not just about learning more. This is about you getting out of that endless loop that has held you back in love and relationship for so many years. So if the attachment immersion retreat sounds like something you might want to explore, or any of the other work that we can do together, there is a short application form you can fill out on my site to book a free call with me and my team, specifically with my team. You saw Lucas here earlier. He takes point on helping everybody. There is no pressure here, just a simple conversation to see if it's the right fit for where you're at. Okay. We only open up a few spots for this, and this is something we only offer once a year. So if you feel called to do this, don't wait. We only accept a few clients into these programs. Join now if you're ready. If you've made it this far in this webinar, it means that you are serious. You're somebody that plays all in. You're not someone who puts one foot in, one foot out. This tells me that you're one of 3 types of people. You refuse to stay stuck in an unhealthy relationship, okay? You want real answers, not generic advice. And you want to take action to build secure, lasting love with your avoidant partner. Those are 3 different types of people, and you are all 3 in 1 if you're here right now. Most people never even get this far. This could be the turning point in your love life. So go to adamlanesmith.com. I also have a link down in the description below that I'm going to have and pinned in a comment. Just remember adamlanesmith.com. Visit us and book your call now. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate you so much. For all those watching the replay, thank you for being here. I appreciate your kindness. I'm Adam Lane Smith, the attachment specialist, and I will see you again very soon.